pretty quiet from inside the cab. I can't really hear the exhaust. G'day everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're diving into the differences between a factory exhaust and a 3-inch exhaust for the HJ60 Landcruiser, as well as a little bit of detail on how to install one of these onto your rig, as well as some of the subtle differences that these two exhausts have, so that you can make the best decision for your rig. Now, first of all, massive shout out to Outback Exhaust for hooking me up with one of these phenomenal exhausts. I'm super excited to put it on and test it out. Now, a little bit about Outback Exhaust. They're one of Australia's largest exhaust manufacturers, and they also ship internationally as well. And they don't only have options for Toyotas and old Land Cruisers, they have a large array of options for a multitude of different vehicles. So be sure to head along to www.outbackexhaust.com.au and find a customized solution that's going to suit your needs for your vehicle. They're based in southeast Queensland, and all products are proudly Aussie made. And you can tell that this has been created and designed with the types of environments that we encounter here in Australia in mind. Listen to the resonation on that. All right, so let's check out what we've got here. So this is the 3-inch exhaust system from Outback Exhausts, made from durable 409 grade stainless steel. And yes, technically OEM specified exhausts are also made out of 409 grade steel, but mate, this is built solid. This is solid as, mate. It also has an additional coating of heat enamel, which helps increase the longevity of the product. And I do believe these things come with a 5-year warranty, although this thing's lasting a lot longer than that, I can guarantee it. But with a 5-year warranty and being Australian made, mate, you just can't beat it. That's unreal. Now, all Outback exhausts are actually mandrel bent, and this ensures optimal airflow out the back of your system. And it looks great. There's no weird cuts, you know, random welding like you would have on like some backyard exhausts. So before installing the new exhaust, we have to remove the old system. And to do that, we'll be using some very basic tools, including a wrench and some penetrating fluid, ideally WD-40, and a little bit of patience. So starting at the front where the exhaust meets the turbo, I'm just gonna undo these 3 bolts here. We'll start at the front and work our way down. This is where the exhaust clips on to the back of the turbo, and the bolts on this were a little bit difficult to get out, I'm not gonna lie, but I think the main reason why that was the case was because I just did that test drive to show off what the old exhaust sounded like. So it was quite hot, so I think the metals expanded a little bit. So if you're gonna be doing this, do it when the vehicle is cold. That's the only thing I can say. All right, so I'm not gonna lie to you, getting the old exhaust off was pretty tricky, especially this one long piece, because you sort of had to like spin it to take it out, and you can't take it out through this side because of the size of that. And then you can't remove the bottom bracket on that one. So it was a little bit trickier than I was expecting it to, which is why I'm really grateful that Outback Exhaust has actually broken this up into 2 different pieces. That's gonna make it way easier to put back in. And that's just smart thinking. Now, it's always a good idea to compare the old exhaust with the new exhaust to make sure that the bends are in roughly the same place and that the mounting points are in relatively the same place. In my case, it all seemed pretty spot on. It's a little bit different up here because this pipe has more of a bend in it, and this one is a lot shorter, and this one's a lot longer, bringing it down lower, I assume, to make room for the fitment that's required for the thickness of this pipe. A really cool thing that Outback Exhaust has included on this is a valve temperature sensor to clip in here so that you can get a direct output of the temperature that's coming out of your exhaust, which I think is awesome. Because the old ones don't have that, and they can be a really tricky thing to have to put in afterwards. You have to, you know, drill a hole, seal it, figure all that out. Without getting an exhaust leak, it's very difficult. I don't believe we need a silicone in on the turbo side, but in and around these gaskets is where we'll do that. So let's get to it. The way that I'm gonna go about putting this back together is I'm gonna put it all back together, just sort of hand tighten everything back on, And then once I've got everything lined up and in position, that way we can sort of move it and adjust it if we need to. And then we'll be able to tighten it up and go from there. So I'm gonna start at the front and sort of work my way back slowly and make sure that everything fits as it needs to. Estimated time to install the system is around 2 hours. This time varies from system to system, however DPF back systems can be installed in under an hour's time. Once everything is in place, we can start tightening it up. Just take your time, don't rush, double check that everything is secure and aligned before you give it the final torque. Make sure you maintain the clearance with the chassis before tightening the system fully. A fitting kit is provided as part of the system, which includes all the gaskets, fasteners, and a sample of sealant, which is usually ample to install the system. Do not try to match the profiles of the flanges. The slots and flanges are provided to cover up for any tolerances in the chassis and any minor aftermarket modifications. Others do charge up to $25 for the sealant only. Note that I need to reuse the turbo gasket as it is not provided as part of the package. However, there is a chance that I may have also put it in incorrectly. So I've turned the car on, sounds monstrous. I've connected up all the little bits, but the brackets at the back, I've actually had to swap over. So the bracket used to sit on top at the back and underneath in the middle here. And I've actually had to swap those over to give it a little bit of extra height in the middle because it was rubbing on the suspension. And to be honest, the suspension is upgraded, so it's a little bit thicker, and now that the exhaust is also thicker. So the old joint in the pipe used to be about here, and so this used to fit, this thing used to fit into these little grommets here and then clip into what was this mount, which used to be here. But because I couldn't get that to fit on, what I've done is I've literally just drilled a hole in here and smashed a bolt through, and that's rock solid, that's not going anywhere. And that's it. The Outback exhaust is all installed and ready to go, and you can really feel the difference in power and sound. Now, let's hear what the old stock exhaust used to sound like. It's pretty quiet from inside the cab. I can't really hear the exhaust. And I'm gonna stick this on the back so we can get a beautiful view of the exhaust itself. And I'm gonna put the microphone a lot closer to the exhaust so we can actually hear what it sounds like from the back. And now the same camera angles with the Outback exhaust. Damn, I can feel like the echo in the car, like I can feel it in my chest. There is a clear difference in that. Wow. it doesn't seem to drone too loudly. And part of the reason for that, I believe, is because this is not a straight piped version. This does have a muffler on it, so we are in New South Wales, so we do need to have the most legal version of anything here, unfortunately, of all the states in Australia. But if you want to hear what a straight piped 3-inch exhaust sounds like, then listen to this. So that's a 3-inch straight piped exhaust, is that right?
It's a 3-inch.
Huge difference, right? The Outback exhaust offers a much more aggressive note and it delivers better performance for your vehicle. Honestly, the turbo whistle that comes from this engine feels like it goes through the whole vehicle now. It used to just sort of come out a little bit of the snorkel and I could only really hear it when the window was down, but now I can hear it from the back of the car, which is pretty cool. I like that, that's cool. So in review of this installation and the way I went about it, it did take me a lot longer than I was expecting it to, and I think that's more due to my lack of experience and correct tools to get this job done, as opposed to the product that Outback Exhaust provides here. So it didn't fit absolutely perfectly, and the reason for that, I believe, is because of the upgraded suspension that I've got. So with the thicker exhaust and the thicker suspension, there was less room to play with. But if I had the original suspension in this car, I could have put it in, mounted it up to exactly where it needed to be, and I don't think we would have had a problem. In saying that, I think the product that they have provided here is absolutely phenomenal. Considering this old car, it's a 1986 Toyota Landcruiser Sahara 12-volt import for Australia. They're not all that common, and they're very old, and the fact that Outback Exhausts have provided a 409 grade stainless steel 3-inch exhaust that is mandrel bent and not cut and welded, so that all the contours still match in exactly with how this, you know, with the body of this old car. It's phenomenal that they've actually been able to do that and figure that out so that it fits as perfectly as it did. Even with the minor adjustments that I had to make, there was no cutting, no welding, no bending or anything. I just had to sort of switch over where it was mounted. So it was mounted on the bottom, I just had to switch it over to the top. One thing I would definitely say, if you're gonna do something like this at home for yourself, make sure that you start with a cold vehicle, because I started out by testing the stock exhaust to showcase what it sounded like, what it looked like, so that I could get those shots for this video. And as such, I was working with a hot car, and so trying to get the exhaust off the turbo at the very beginning, the metal had sort of expanded, and so those bolts were particularly difficult to get off. So absolutely start with a cold car, get the WD-40 in there and just crank it slowly. Don't snap any bolts, just go slowly, take your time, and yeah, don't rush it. And it's definitely true what they say about hand tightening in between all the flanges. Make sure that everything fits perfectly, and do any little minor adjustments like I did if you have to make sure that it's going to fit perfectly before you tighten everything up. It just makes sense. But yes, thank you to Outback Exhausts for sponsoring this video and for giving me an exhaust for this old vehicle. If you want to see more content like this, I've got a range of different installation videos on the channel. Feel free to go check those out. And if buses are more your style, feel free to go check out our bus build playlist. We're building a double-decker turbocharged Toyota Coaster with the same engine as this Land Cruiser behind us, and it's a lot of fun. It's coming together slowly but surely, and we're getting there. So if you like this video, give it a like, whatever, I don't really mind. But yeah, check out the other videos that I've got here. Otherwise, check us out on mahimedia.au. Again, huge thank you to Outback Exhausts for sending me an exhaust to chuck on this vehicle. It sounds phenomenal, and I'm really, really happy. So if you're after a durable and performance boosting upgrade for your vehicle, then be sure to go check out Outback Exhaust and find a custom solution for your vehicle today. Oh, and before I forget, if you like these t-shirts with the skateboarding dinosaur and Are We Having Fun Yet typed out on the back, feel free to go grab one of those for yourself. They come in a range of different colors and flavors and all sorts of things. They've got a slightly longer sleeve, slightly longer cut at the bottom to give you that sort of skater comfortable fit. I really like them, and it supports the channel massively. Regardless, just go check out my website, www.mahimedia.au. I've got a whole bunch of different portfolio stuff that I've been working on, which, yeah, I love it, and it's the best way to support the channel, and meaning that I can continue to create the things that I want to create and keep building this beautiful vehicle behind me. So thanks so much for watching. Again, thank you Outback Exhaust for sending me an exhaust to chuck on this thing. I'm obsessed with it, it's awesome. So yeah, thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao guys, thank you.